the only reason he got a meeting with Broccoli was that he ran past the secretary and ran up the hall when she wasn't looking and barged into the office wearing all the Sean Connery stuff that he'd bought.
With a Playboy magazine.
And basically not demanded, but gave him a speech as to why he was to be James Bond and all that. And hello and welcome to the For Your Ears Only podcast. Today's episode we are talking about On Her Majesty's Secret Service from 1969, directed by Peter Hunt. My name is Jack and this is Derek.
Hello, 006.
This is episode 006. So, Derek, what's your initial thoughts on this film?
I don't really have any. Like, I remember it roughly when I was very young, but more so the song than the film. The song is timeless.
Which song?
Which song?
Yeah.
On Her Majesty's Secret Service by John Barry.
The instrumental?
Yes.
I thought you were going to say the other song.
The Louis Armstrong. The Louis Armstrong one is quite timeless as well, and it's through it, but the On Her Majesty's Secret Service is... No one says they don't like that song.
True. It's one
Everyone
of the best.
says that is one of the best James Bond songs. It's not the official one, but it's
I would say
close.
It is the official one because it's in the pre-titles.
It's more energetic as well.
Sequence.
It's just really, really good. But yeah, that going back to the song, yeah, I think that was the strongest bit of the film. The film, I think, is okay. I think the film was hyped up a lot, but in the last 6 hours, my opinion of it has changed, and in comparison, it is actually a very good song. Not song. Why am I saying song? Film.
The film's very good.
It's a very good film, yeah.
So when you were younger, did you kind of like dismiss the film?
I don't remember a single bit about it. I remember the kilt scene because I was just very confused. I didn't really understand it. I don't think it's a film for young people. It's so difficult to understand what's actually going on.
It's not much of a kid's film.
No, it's an explanation of things, and
Yeah.
it's like, what's happening here, and there's not enough shooting, there's not enough action going on.
Yeah, there's not a lot of action.
Skiing, the skiing scenes were there as well, but I don't really remember much about it. It's a very timid film, I would say, in comparison to a lot of other James Bond films and action films aside. It's very PG-13, apart from one scene. It's the skiing scene with the man who is like blended.
Oh yeah.
That is like, oh, where did that come from? But the rest of the film is very, it's
less James Bond, more just film.
Yes, it's quite
thriller.
It's quite soft in most cases, but that is my impressions of it. I think it's a good film.
Mm-hmm.
It's memorable more so for the song and the fact that this random person who's not Sean Connery appears.
That's
I'm
something
sure you have the answers to.
we'll get onto that. But for now, we have a recurring segment where one of us has to describe the film synopsis in 2 minutes or less. And this week, it is Derek. Now,
Derek's dancing.
Derek's turn. But last week, I said the forbidden words, which was James Bond stuff happens, that you'd said the previous episode. So now that we've both had it, we're not allowed to say it anymore. Okay?
I wasn't planning to say
We
it.
both had a pass.
No James Bond stuff really happens in this though, which is quite easy.
So there you go. Should be easy enough.
I think this will be quite an easy one.
Think you can do it?
Yes, I think I can do it quite comfortably.
Right, okay. I'm going to get a timer up.
Okay.
Stopwatch. Are you ready? 3,
Yes.
2, 1, go.
Okay, so the film opens with James Bond driving, a car overtakes him aggressively, he follows the car, there's a woman gets out of the car, goes into the sea to kill herself, supposedly, and he goes to rescue her. 2 men appear from somewhere, fight sequence goes on, he looks at the camera, goes, "This never happened to another fella." Rolling title sequence, fourth wall break. Then after that, James Bond is on holiday, coincidentally is at the same hotel of the person he was chasing. There's a bit of a rapport going on between them. He goes to her room, a man tries to fight him, he either goes to her, they canoodle.
Canoodle.
The same guy and other henchmen then grab him, take him to a known crime syndicate boss called Draco. It turns out that's the girl's father. He tries to tell him that he wants him to marry her to bring her on the straight and narrow, something like that. However, in exchange, James Bond wants information on Blofeld.
1 minute left.
Information on Blofeld. Draco gives him the information after being pressured by the daughter. He goes, tries to get M's approval. He tries to resign. M says no. He then goes on holiday, goes to find out more about this Blowshomp, finds out that Hilary Bray has been hired by Blofeld for this ancestry thing. He goes to Pease Gloria, pretending to be Hilary Bray. Spy stuff goes on. He's sneaking about and stuff with women. They find out he's James Bond. It turns out that this is all a plot to smuggle viruses over the world, and then he can transmit it around the place unless it's a ransom from the UN. MI6 are ready to, or the governments are ready to give the money over, but then Draco and James Bond
10
then
seconds.
raid the mountainside. Then James Bond gets married to the daughter, and the daughter gets killed by Blofeld out of revenge, I think.
Okay. Wow.
It ramped up at the end. That was 6/100th of a second over. I think I accept that.
I think you'll be fine. I think you did it in 2 minutes or less. You did it about 2 minutes.
I got the names. I got Pease Gloria.
You never said Tracy though. Name's Tracy.
I said the girl. Her name's actually Teresa.
Well,
I think I covered most of it. Oh, actually, no. Do you know what I didn't manage to squeeze in was the fact that it was a solicitor. Draco doesn't know about Blofeld. It's a solicitor in Bern that's. So I missed that.
I think that's fine.
I think you think that's fine. Okay. I didn't say names, but I said spying happens, infiltration.
Don't know.
I think that worked out fine.
I don't know. I think you're treading a fine line there.
Ah well. What do you think? I think that was okay.
Well, I think that was good. You got there in the end. Well, you like you said, you did ramp up. You just threw it all in the last 3 seconds.
And then he's married. And then she dies. That's what the thing is. See, from the moment they're in the helicopter ready to like raid the mountain, there's only 15 minutes left of the film. And by that, I'm not even including the credits. And I know this because I had to leave the house and I came back to watch it again.
Right.
And this is the bit when Draco's like, Dracula, no, we had medical supplies. That is 15 minutes left. So the whole mountain fight sequence and then him getting away and then being married.
The whole, even the bobsleigh fight and everything all happens in the last 10 minutes.
Yes. Let's say 10 to 15 minutes. It's very quick.
Wow.
Yeah. There you go.
I know that in the book, Tracy dies on literally the last page. She gets killed and then it just ends.
All right. Is it like those like kids' books that's like, then I woke up, then I died.
Exactly.
That's how the story ends. With so I think in my 2 minutes were okay there. I didn't shoehorn anything in. I certainly did shoehorn a lot in. But
yeah, to the last 3
you
seconds.
get the synopsis of what I babbled through. What did I say? I said a weird word at one point.
Canoodle. You do canoodle. It goes back to you
on
saying...
a balcony. Why is the bed on the balcony?
Why is the bed outside?
Think of the mosquitoes. So with the history side of things, we were saying the way over, we usually do discuss the recent history around the time of filmmaking. 1968 and 1969, rich with history. Lots of things happened. I don't think much influenced this film. But there was quite a lot. Something that I thought was quite funny is in 1968, Daniel Craig was born.
Oh, that's cute.
Again, nothing to do with the film, but that was just a wee thing that was there. The main things in 1968 was the Civil Rights Act, the Vietnam protests around the world, as it turns out, not just a big one in London actually, and then there was a lot of arguing and fighting and stuff. The Tet Offences in Vietnam, Martin Luther King was assassinated, Robert F. Kennedy was assassinated, a US spy ship was seized by North Korea.
Okay.
Spying.
Quite a new country then. because it was like the
But there was a
50s.
Korean War and then
50s.
things all changed from there. And then obviously 1969, I think they went round the moon in 1968. They took a rocket and went round the moon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good.
And then they landed on it in 1969.
Yes, they landed on the moon. I have that. Apollo 11 on the moon. And if you should listen to our previous episode where we talk a lot about the moon.
Too much about the moon. And the Masons are on the moon.
Right, so Woodstock also happened in 1969. It's the end of the 60s. All the free love and the hippies and stuff, everything's coming crashing to an end with politicians dying and war everywhere. So there's lots of, I got the anti-war protest, 250,000 people protest in Washington alone in a single day.
Was this for the Martin Luther King?
For civil rights. Right. Anti-war protests as well. So everything's coming to an end. The Beatles are coming to an end. John Lennon's in bed. He's got big hair.
Was that not did John Lennon not get divorced that year? Or was there not a child that was born that year? Or 1969?
Child?
With Yoko?
A child?
I don't know.
No, she had a miscarriage. I'm pretty sure in 68, 69. But yeah, so he's in his sort of bed piece when he's lying in that bed in Amsterdam. He never leaves. Like, so him and Yoko have a protest that lasts for days where they sit in the bed and they invite all the press and they don't leave the bed and they have big placards that say war is over and all that kind of stuff. Hair Peace was a movement called. Not heard that? Well, I think that's relevant somehow. The Manson murders happened in 69, so literally...
It's actually quite a point in history where there was a lot of... They say it was like peace and love and stuff, but it was very aggressive. People were still getting burned in Vietnam. There was people getting assassinated all over the place. There was actual protests. The Manson murders.
Yeah.
There was a lot of violence and then not forced love, but I think Woodstock's probably a good example of it. Woodstock 99.
Nothing like 99.
No.
But yeah, everything happy and free loving coming to an end. And we'll get into how I think that relates to George Lazenby in a second. But first of all, we're going to go for the first question.
Yes.
We have a recurring segment again where we have 3 questions that only the biggest Bond fans will get.
I think these are quite easy.
Question 1.
Film. So, question 1. There is a scene where Draco's men... Draco?
I would say Draco.
You must be a Weasley. Where Draco's men is taking James Bond to Draco's office.
Yes.
And there's a janitor sweeping the floor. What famous James Bond song is the janitor whistling?
Good.
This kind of annoyed me. And there's a couple of other scenes that annoyed me about this. So it's going to get on to my first question for you, which you touched on there. Mm-hmm. They try and plaster over the fact that this is the same James Bond. And everyone knows it's not James Bond. And it's obvious that it's not. But they try and... They put that in there. There's the fourth wall break of the... This never happened to the other fellow. Am I supposed to laugh? But then, when he's clearing out his drawer and he takes out Honey Rider's knife, and underneath the mango tree plays, and then he takes out Red Grant's watch, and Russell with Love plays, and he takes out the breather that hasn't been stolen by the American military at that point, and Thunderball plays, and it's like, okay, well, this is
supposed to be the same guy.
This is the same guy, and I'm like... So why was George Lazenby hired?
First of all, I think that fourth wall break is probably the worst thing that ever happens in a James Bond film. I absolutely despise it.
It did make a good fan film, though. There's a fan... I can't remember the man's name, but it came out last year, and he is called The Other Fellow, and it's about real-life people called James Bond. That's the real name. And how they've grown up with that. And some of them were like, well, I've never watched James Bond, but people see my ID and think, how can you do it?
How can you have not seen it if it's your name? It's just massive.
I don't know. But
that's cool. I just think that's the worst
thing from last year. But he used that, and I thought that was actually quite a good name for it. But yeah, it's... I mean, my dad looked at it and we're going, Why?
Why did you have to do
that whole opening? I didn't really like that whole opening scene. I thought it was just a bit.
Because the opening scene starts with him driving through Portugal, and it's like, who is he? Who isn't? Because he's all in the shadows and it's different angles. You can't see who he is.
On smoking.
Smoke.
It's like
Smoking
smoke. It's like drive it and then smoke and then drive it and then light smoke. There is a lot of smoking in this. Like there's we'll obviously go to the. In fact, let's touch on the branding right now. Actually,
okay.
Before you actually answer the question as to why, George, like, so in this film, this is probably the most prominent branding I've seen of the film so far. Mm-hmm. So obviously there's smoking. There's Terry Savalas. The way he smokes irritates me.
Yeah, why is he holding it that way?
Why does he do that? He points to go. Why? And then he goes.
Yeah, that is weird.
Is there a medical thing that I don't know about? Like, I don't. It might have just been something that he thought was good for the character, and it is. It's stuck in here rent free.
Yeah, true.
If anyone smokes like that, it's like, oh, that's your Blofeld.
Exactly.
So that
maybe I'll start doing that.
Camel cigarettes were a brand in it. Toblerone was branded throughout the ski resort. Dom Perignon again was in it. Aston Martin, obviously now a very iconic V8 car, was in it. Rolex. The circuit race when they try to get away. Yeah. That is like Corgi, BP, Gillette, Avon tires. They're all at the side. I don't know if that was just written in to be like, right, we've got these 4 other companies. How do we put them in together? There was a lot of branding in this, and yeah, the smoking side. I'd noticed that was something about this film where a lot of branding came in. Probably the
sponsorship deals. Yeah.
Yeah, that because the thing is, maybe it was round about that time where marketing wasn't. I don't know if marketing was such a big thing. Because obviously big events weren't a thing. Woodstock was the first of its kind. Yeah. For that large thing. After which every festival was like sponsorship deals and branding and such. The only other sponsorships you got was for films. That was really it. But this was maybe where it started to
get more commercialised.
So anyway, enough about smoking.
Smoke.
You smoking yet? Why was
George? Do you know anything about why George was?
I know George Lazenby is Australian.
Okay, so George, I don't know if it's Lazenby or Lazenby. I would have said Lazenby.
Lazenby.
Try Lazenby in Australia.
Lazenby. I don't know.
Right, so George Lazenby is an Australian. He's a model.
He has a good look at it. It does have. That is his real hair, isn't it?
Yeah, see it?
There must be a...
He is a model. He's never acted before, except for being in television commercials. He was in Fry's Chocolate.
That's quite surprising because he was actually quite good for the most part.
I think he was good.
I think he was quite good. He played a Bond that I've written down here, was kind of emotionless. If I'm very emotionless, not really a lot of expression at all.
Is that good acting? No.
Yeah,
bad acting.
For the character, but then he played a Bond that knows everything about everything. There wasn't anything he didn't know.
That's true.
He knew everything from
the butterflies.
Yeah, the butterflies, and then he ate a bit of caviar, knew exactly where it was from. And he's like talking about drinks and stuff like he knew everything, and then they were explaining the virus and such. Like he knew everything about that. Yeah, and I'm like, right, maybe he does. I don't know. I believe Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes knows everything. Yeah, true.
I can't say this is not believable. So why was he actually hired?
Well, he was hired. There's lots
Sean said no.
There's lots of different conflicting stories as to why it was actually him that was chosen over anybody else. So Sean Connery had a 5-picture deal, so he reached his 5th picture with You Only Live Twice.
He hated filming that, didn't
he? He was so disheartened and didn't care. He was kind of out of shape and didn't put in a performance.
Pile of money.
Yeah. In fact, one of the reasons he thought he's leaving is because he thought he was underpaid. So,
come on, Sean.
And basically he'd had too much of the fame and he was like, right, I'm out. And even before the film was released, he announced that he was leaving, so they knew that they had to find a replacement.
Okay.
Originally they were going to film on Her Majesty's Secret Service with Sean Connery and then do You Only Live Twice, but they couldn't get the temperature in this conditions for the snow in 67, so they swapped the films about. Which is a shame, because I think if this was Sean Connery's, if this was Sean Connery's final film, it would have been the best ever, undoubtedly, I would say. And it would also make sense with the plots.
Yes, the fact that it's hard to believe where he knows who Blofeld is after that. Goodbye, Mr. Bond, and then they meet each other and they're like, who are you?
Yeah, I think
used to hit your head. Oh no, that's the end of your life.
That's the last one. That's the book. No, I think that you try and gloss over that plot hole that they're supposed to have never met.
I'll suspend belief.
Purely because the books are the other way around, so this is the first actual meeting in the books.
Why was there a new Blofeld? Was it just for that reason there's a new James Bond and we'll just pretend?
I think that was half the reason. So we'll go back to George Lazenby. He was the new Bond. He actually beat out a 22-year-old Timothy Dalton to the role.
Oh,
Timothy Dalton said he was too young and too inexperienced as an actor. He wouldn't do it.
And he thought, give me 15 years.
So yeah, 20 years later or something. Yes, he'd never acted before. He was only in commercials and he'd done modelling. There's actually he does a sort of biography film which is called Becoming Bond. Came out in 2017, and it's a really good. It's basically his autobiography about how he became Bond from a child up to getting the role, and it's very 60s. It goes through all his escapades and the swinging 60s.
Yeah, I've heard about George, and this was he wasn't playing James Bond, he was just playing himself.
Yes, definitely. But he wanted the role so much that he was in London doing modelling. He wanted the role so much that he actually went and bought the same kind of watch as Sean Connery. He went to Sean Connery's barber and got the same haircut as Sean Connery. He went to the same suit shop in Savile Row and actually bought a suit that was made for Sean Connery, and Sean Connery never picked up, so he was like, I'll buy it.
Is this method acting or is this infatuation?
So, and
how did he the same hairdresser as Sean Connery? I thought Sean Connery was balding at this point.
That's true.
How did he have George Gogson and like just shave his hair like that?
Yes. Make me receding. But he was only 27 or something, Lazenby at the time.
Was he? He looks older than 27.
27, maybe 29 when it came out. I can't remember.
You're 27.
Thanks for telling everyone that.
I'm 29. I don't think I look as old as George Lazenby does.
Yeah,
there.
He's pretty old looking. He
but
is
then it's
rugged.
It's quite good for the character.
Yes, definitely. But the story goes in that Becoming Bond series that he... the only reason he got a meeting with Broccoli was that he ran past the secretary and ran up the hall when she wasn't looking and barged into the office wearing all the Sean Connery stuff that he'd bought.
With a Playboy magazine.
And basically gave him a speech as to why he was to be James Bond and all that. And it was partly the fact that he had the bravado to do that he was offered the role.
Yeah, I think it was probably the right. I don't know who the other competition was other than
no, I looked to the other names and I have no idea who they are, and they all look very similar.
Yeah, I don't really think there was anything wrong with the performance. I thought it was unique. It wasn't Sean Connery.
Definitely.
I did feel like there was a few times where he was trying to be Sean Connery.
Right.
But that was mostly in the Alpine room, which is like, when I seen that scene for the first time, I was like, a guy wrote this.
Which one? Oh, when all the girls are in it.
And Joanna Lumley's in there.
Yeah. The rest.
I never actually noticed it was Joanna Lumley. It was Rachel. It was like, we go put that back. Was that Joanna Lumley?
Yeah,
and it was. What did she say? Of course, I know what he's allergic to.
Yes, because they all think he's gay.
Yeah, and really boring.
Yes.
It reminded me of, see, when he was talking about the coat of arms and stuff, and
with
it did like
3 balls.
It did like a crossfade to them just at dinner, and it reminded me of seeing Top Gear when James May starts talking and they just fade to black. It reminded me of that. I was like, God, he's so boring, man. Like, he's actually boring them in tears.
He's boring the scene away.
I think that scene as well got quite a lot of there was quite good lines in this. film.
You mean like one-liners?
Yeah, so there was like that scene, like just a slight stiffness
That is
coming
quite
on
good.
the shoulder, and it was like, okay, that was quite good. And then there was Gatecrasher after he throws the guy through. Let's be honest, a bit of wood. It's not a gate, a bit of wood, and he goes Gatecrasher. And then at the very end, when Blofeld comes up and he says he's branched off, who's he talking to? There's no one else there.
Branched off.
But yeah, I thought the lines in this were actually pretty good. There was just... No, I'm not going to criticise the film yet. I'm going to talk about the things I like about the film. So we spoke about George Lazenby. Telly. I thought his name was Terry. Telly on the telly. Telly Savalas. I thought he was good. I thought he was quite threatening. I mean,
he gets the role purely, I think, two reasons. One, because there's a new Bond, so why not just recast the main villain? But then why would you not recast everybody? But I think it's because this Blofeld actually has some action, and I couldn't see Donald Pleasance doing an action scene in a bobsled.
No,
I think that was the reason, because he's a bigger kind of guy.
I thought he was quite threatening. Plus, something I didn't look into it because I didn't think I was going to find an answer. But he's talking about like the UN and how he's going to threaten the UN. And the UN has to do this. I don't think the UN had a lot of power back then. The UN's biggest issue was like protests.
Yeah, wars.
And assassinations. If someone at the UN heard them was like, oh, this bald guy's coming in with like a virus is going to release, you'd be like, fucking put it in the pile over there. I'll deal with that next. Just delegate that to somebody else. I've got too much to deal with over here. Oh, virus. Oh, that would actually solve some of my problems.
Too many people.
Yeah, it's like...
Yeah,
and I think that the plot was kind of not cliche.
Maybe not at the time though. In the 60s it wouldn't be. It's a bioweapon really. He's trying to get rid of all the farming and crops and stuff, which I don't know, bioweapons. I don't think
he was going to do it. He was just it was quite an easy demand, I think, about it. I just want amnesty. I don't want money. I just amnesty in my title.
And a title.
Fine. Give him amnesty and then kill him.
Yeah, like a year later.
Yeah, like, why is that so hard? I just want amnesty. I just want someone to hug me.
Leave me alone.
Yeah, that's all he wanted. And then it was for past crimes.
Yeah.
Like, what else has he done?
Well,
apparently he stole spaceships.
He stole spaceships, the nuclear submarines.
He's killed numerous people that people don't really know about. But Spectre's not mentioned in this either. I don't think the name
the name is said a couple of times
because it's against Draco's company, organization.
So when we were talking about like free love and the 60s coming to an end, John Lennon with the big hair. So I knew that George Lazenby was given like a 7-picture deal. He was offered 7 films off the back of this, and he turned them down because his agent said James Bond is dying. It's irrelevant in the 70s. Turned down the role, and on set apparently he was arrogant and all that, and they asked him to do things certain ways, like the gun barrel scene, and he refused.
He went down on his knee.
He went on his knee, and they were like, "Can you not do that?" And he went down on his knee again, and they're like, "Right, fine." So they kind of had some animosity,
right?
And turned up to the premiere with long hair and a beard, and the producers were like, "This is not what James Bond's like. You can't do this." And he was like, "No, man, I'm my own person," and just turned it down.
So what did he do after James Bond?
Nothing. He did like vanity projects and then became nothing. But in his defence, like you were saying, good actor, he is the only James Bond to actually be nominated for a Golden Globe, which is a pretty big thing.
What other films are out at the same time?
I don't know.
The world was too preoccupied. What do you think of Diana Rigg? I think she was probably a saving grace. A very nice looking, perfect Bond woman. Acting chops, great. Comes from the Avengers. Quite a lot of this sort of recurring cast comes from the Avengers. Pussy galore. They just go and take them from the cast. Yeah, I thought it was. I don't know.
I think she was
I
very
don't think
good.
there's anything good or bad to say. Again, it's the story that kind of makes it a bit odd. Like, she's just there going into the sea, but then
She comes across as
how
like...
do we explain that? Or the dad says, "Oh, she's just troubled." I was like, "Oh, she's troubled."
It's very
She's trying to
60s.
kill herself. Okay, she just yes, his explanation is she just needs a man.
Exactly.
She needs a man to dominate her.
I think even in the late 60s, that was probably outdated thinking.
Yeah, and it's like, right, okay, and then you're like, okay, was she okay now? She clearly had some sort of mental health issue, but no, she's fine now.
Now that she's
and then,
James Bond.
she's away, and then when James Bond is away to Peace Gloria, the dad tells her where he is, and then she just appears and is skiing,
Yeah.
expecting something to happen, and then runs into him. And
Yeah.
I suppose it was quite nice as well. It was the scene where they are, how would you describe it? Courting. Where
The sort of montage.
Yeah, there's a they're walking through a garden. She picks up a cat and puts the cat down, and then they're driving somewhere, and then they're on the beach. And
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
So that kind of didn't remind me, but it's quite comparable to Casino Royale with Eva Green. That bit at the end where they are just two people, or just a couple,
Yeah.
and you don't really see that. And I think if I'm honest, it went on too long in the film. It was very quiet for that point. Nothing was really happening, but it develops the character. And I thought
she was
right.
good. A good match for James Bond because she's like a feisty.
A good match for George Lazenby.
Yes. Okay.
Not Sean.
Not Sean.
Roger.
I think Sean would have been amazing in this film. I know that Bridget Bardot was originally asked to be
I don't know
Tracy. She's a big 60s icon.
Avengers.
No, she's not. But she turned it down to be in a film with Sean Connery.
What was that film?
I think it was a Western.
Don't tell me it was the one where he's wearing those like red pant things.
No, actually.
Stripe and he's got the ponytail.
It could well be. I
I
don't know.
the name of that film.
Neither do I, but I know that.
I know it's meant to be set in 2023.
Oh, is it?
This is because remember at the start of the year people said, "Oh, this is how we're meant to dress now," and it was like Sean Connery in like red leather pants and a handgun.
Okay, I think it's now time for question 2.
What pants did Sean Connery wear? So it's gone for question 2. Question 2, I think, is still quite an easy one. Again, if you watched the film and just listened to the dialogue. So question 2: how much was Sir Hilary Bray's fee? Maybe not his fee, but what the Blowchamps Institute offered for his services.
Yeah, the Royal College of Arms.
Yes, offered for that. I thought that I liked that scene because that was
The heraldry scene.
I liked that whole part of the story that I'll pretend to be someone, because I never noticed until you told me before that his voice is dubbed after he's pretending to be Hilary Bray. I'm assuming by the actor that plays Hilary Bray.
I would think so.
Because there's a bit behind the desk and he says something to him and Hilary Bray goes,
yeah, in that voice.
Alright, I get it now. So I liked that, and I liked the fact that he was pretending. Why there was a kill, I don't know, but the fact that he was pretending to be this character and must have studied a lot to fully immerse in this character.
Yeah,
I
'cause
like
he
that.
goes in depth at the dinner table for his role.
Boring everyone to tears.
Yeah.
The other thing that I really liked, it's only a small scene, and I wish they did it a bit more, was in Bern, where they go to it's a solicitor.
Yeah.
Goes to the solicitor's office, goes into the office, gets
Safe cracking scene.
safe cracks, so safe cracks, and then he photocopies it. Part of me was like, do you not have a camera or something? Why do you have a safe cracker? And I thought, oh, maybe they just didn't have that. No, at the end, when he's in
he has the little
he takes
camera.
the picture, and I'm like, where was that? Like a few months ago.
That would have been...
That would have been quite handy, but
Yeah.
I liked that. I liked the fact that he couldn't just bring this in himself. We had to get a crane to drop it off.
Crane out the window. That was a good scene. Actually, probably the best scoring as well. The tense music
'Cause it
there was
quite
great.
tense. But he was very relaxed as well. He was just, because he took his watch off and he put it down, they just sat.
And then the music gets more tense as the guy comes back, and it just makes it in time.
Yeah, I actually really like that, and I suppose that's
scene.
actually a good thing for the gadgets as well. So the
What gadgets?
side, something that wasn't used but was quite a weird mention was the radioactive pocket lint.
Yeah, what was that all about? What was the point in that?
I think he was just trying to talk about I don't.
Just fill a few seconds.
Yeah. The safe cracker, the photocopier, the miniature camera. That was really actually.
Yeah, there was not a lot of gadgets in this film at all.
I don't think. I think if you had gadgets, I've learned now kind of fluff up a script, and I don't think this script needed to be fluffed. The film is a bit too long, in my opinion.
Yeah,
but
2 hours 20 or something. It is.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be that long. You could take bits of it down, but I still did quite like it. There was something I noticed as well with the casting is Ruby Bartlett. And I seen
the sort of curly-haired one.
Yeah, Ruby Bartlett. Annoying voice. I was like, I've seen her from something before. Where she's
right.
But she's from a show called You Rang My Lord.
Right.
And she doesn't look the same, but very similar. I was like, yellow eyes. I'm like, is that woman? And yeah, it's her.
Her character I never liked. I just found her to be too...
Because she's allergic to chickens?
Too sort of dumb blonde. She comes across as quite young. I'm not really into that scene.
No.
He actually ends up... He's supposed to be in love with Tracy and then goes and beds all these women.
But then he does it like a big catfish. He's like, oh no, I'm gay. And then it sneaks into the room and it's like, oh, but you don't like women? I like you.
And then he uses the same speech.
Exact same line. And then he goes by, he talks himself, oh, Haley.
Exactly.
And then when they're out curling, he goes, I'll see you at 8. Next person, I'll see you at 9. Yeah, I think it was like, okay. It was almost kind of like that joke. that thing. It's like an insult to someone. It was like you couldn't get laid in a women's prison with a pocket full of pardons. It was that thing. It was that thing of him walking in. He's like the only man here in a kilt.
Of course. And
like all the women are like, we've not seen a man in months. It was like it was. That's why I thought this has been written by a guy.
Yeah, definitely Ian Fleming, big man.
Yeah,
I think he's in a kilt because this book, which is basically word for word the film, was being written at the same time as they were filming Doctor No with Scottish Sean Connery. So he probably put him in a kilt to like bring out that Scottish heritage.
Something I noticed as well, just personal observation, is the blonde, curly assistant spy. You know, the guy who helps him with the crane and the guy who's up the climber.
It took me a long time to realise they're the same person. I didn't click it at first.
I noticed that he was driving up the mountain in a cream Volkswagen Beetle. And I was like, it's quite an odd car to think about. And I looked it up, and the Love Bug, the Herbie kilt, came out in 1969.
Right.
And I was like, is this some kind of weird crossover promotion? I thought, that's an odd car to drive up a mountain with.
Yeah.
Not just drive in general, but just up a mountain.
It's never going to work, is it?
It's not going to work. But I was like, that's quite... And then I looked up the film and I thought, oh, that film came out the exact same year. Is that like a... I don't know, is that something?
A coincidence? Was that a leftover? And then just took it?
I don't know, maybe it was the same car. I don't know. It was like... Must have been filmed around the same time and they just went, there you go.
Take it.
Or just, put this in here because, I don't know, was the Love Bug also... I don't know the studio that made it, MGM?
MGM?
Maybe? I don't know.
Don't know.
I asked the questions. You answer them for me.
There's so many questions. I know that when the filming producers found that Peace Gloria set, it was a hotel that was under construction, wasn't finished yet. The producers were like, we'd really want it because it's basically in the book, it describes something exactly like this. And they were like, right, okay, you can use it, but you have to pay for your own helipad to be built, and you have to pay for the internal refurb of the restaurant. So they were like, right, fine, okay, as long as you get to use this set.
Own helipad?
They had to construct a helipad
so
for
I'm assuming the only way up to this before was by cable car?
Probably.
Or it was just abandoned and they didn't have the money to...
So they ended up having to pay to use that scene. All in all was about $125,000 through building helipads and building restaurants and furniture and all that, just to use that one scene.
I suppose.
Which doesn't sound a lot nowadays, but probably quite a lot back then. I like this skiing scenes, the actual fighting.
Well, that's actually parts of my Bond moments. Before we do the Bond moments, there was a bit I found quite funny. Is see when he gets off the mountain and he's trying to get away. This is before he meets Tracy.
Yes.
He tries to get away and he's in like try to be covert and sneak away and such, and a guy grabs him and they go in and they start fighting each other and they fight in the loudest fucking room on earth. It's a room that's full of bells.
Yes,
and the
that's
bells
right.
going off and then there's gunfire and I was like, this is so... Hold on, it was like fireworks going off as well. And I was like, it's the most inconvenient room to fight someone if you're trying to stay like low.
Yeah, low
And I
profile.
thought, that's an odd filmmaking choice. But yeah, I thought it was quite good. But yeah, the skiing scene was iconic, not just for the fact that it. Well, actually, there's two skiing scenes. There's the one where he's trying to get away when he's got the big Willy Wonka goggles.
Oh no,
Not reference again. And then there's the bit where himself and Tracy are trying to ski away. That's with the gruesome death.
Yes.
But something I really liked about that skiing scene was the fact that not just for a character, but the stunt guy had to ski with one ski. So the ski came off and had to go on one. I had to do jumps and land in one leg. I don't know how difficult that is.
Probably
Any skiers tell us how difficult that is.
very difficult. But I knew that it was they were Olympians, actual Olympian skiers that they used
Oh, was
in
that
those scenes, and
that makes sense.
The cameramen had to ski backwards, holding the handheld camera to get those scenes.
I thought they
going down the
I thought
mountains.
they would have used a actual.
They didn't have
mobile.
drones or anything.
No, but like what's that, a ski? Not a ski mobile. I don't know.
So I know that the guy was called Willie Bogner who filmed this ski scene. So shout out to you, Big Willie.
Chun.
And the bobsleigh scenes as well. The cameramen were actually rope tied to the bobsleds going down with them.
Oh my god.
Handheld cameras as well. So that's some really dangerous stuff. And our old friend Johnny Jordan filmed the helicopter scenes a year before he was tragically killed.
With one leg.
With one leg.
This guy
He came back.
This guy doesn't know when to quit.
He came back to do the same sort of stuff in a harness again, hanging out of a helicopter.
What a guy. What I found, I like the bobsled. There is one bit in the bobsled which is kind of like, well, and I had to put it back. I was like, you fucked up here.
Alright,
Because
okay.
It's like, it's green screen when you've got
When you've got those
the actual
the
actors going on. And there's a bit where he's taking the grenade and then he drops the grenade and he tries to get it out. And for some reason, they flip the green screen. Like, the green screen does almost, not a 360, but let's call it at least over a 180. The world does that.
Oh, right. I never even
And then it
noticed
just
that.
goes back. And I was like, it was like, Leo DiCaprio was like, what was that? And I was like, I was like, oh, they messed up. It's only one wee bit. But I was like, it was, you know, it was Thunderball-esque, but it was used all over the place.
Okay.
But I liked that, and I liked the grip of James Bond to hold on to a bobsleigh and then get up and then fight and then get up and then fight.
I actually thought there was quite a sort of modern Bond moment where he's like puts his head out of the bobsleigh and it's catching against the ice.
That bit was good.
That was
That's
good.
my favourite bit of the whole, but that was quite brutal and quite harsh. However, it did make me question why he was on there at all, because as much as I know about a bobsleigh, it goes one route and it finishes one route, and when you come off the mountain and you have a helicopter and you see him getting into a bobsleigh, just fly down the end of the bobsleigh.
Instead
just
of
fly
jump out.
there. Don't have to jump after him and chase him. Like, you're both going the same place. But yeah, I suppose it did make quite a memorable death as well, of the pushing him up, and that's used quite a lot in films now actually. When if it's in a train or such, you know, there's a fight on top of a train and you look and you see the bridges coming and you push the guy up, and it's used quite a lot. So yeah, it was quite good, and it gave a nice line. The other thing that I had as a Bond moment, and it's only a small bit, is see when they're attacking Piz Gloria and there's shooting going all over the place. James Bond slides on his belly down
Yes.
a ramp, and it is like
In the ice.
like
The actual original theme plays and stuff.
That bit's good, and he's just
Yeah.
stuff. That bit was it's so brief.
Yeah.
You don't quite notice it's there.
Yeah.
But it was only on my third watch. I was like, oh, that was cool.
That was
that
cool.
bit should have been longer.
Yeah, and then there's a guy with a flamethrower.
Yeah, why there's a guy with a flame? I don't know, did that guy bring it? Like, why did that guy bring the flame? Was he going to
the
melt
ice.
the snow? Yeah, I like that.
That is a good Bond moment.
That's actually really all I have for the Bond moments. So I think
There's not many. I would say there's not many like standout Bond moments that you go, oh, yes, rewind that. There's nothing like that. I guess like the whole ski chase is probably a good moment, and the shooting on this flying on the stomach is a good one.
I think the iconic bits. The issue with this film having one actor, and I think it would be the same if Timothy Dalton did one film rather than two, is having one actor is the actor themselves are kind of the moment. So what I mean by that is there is a few moments in this which are technically Bond moments. When he comes out in a kilt, that's the first time James Bond wears a kilt. So that's iconic. The Aston Martin V8, iconic. The song, in my opinion, is the most iconic bit of this film because it's used over and over again. The Louis Armstrong song as well, which I believe he did record before he died.
It was the last thing he ever did.
Yeah, like so that like dispersed throughout the film was good, and then I thought the ending was pish, to be honest.
What, the death?
Not the death, the acting.
What, who?
That wasn't very good. That was it's okay. Of all the time in the world. I don't know what he was supposed to say or what he was meant to do, but that was just kind of
That was exactly word for word as the book.
I know, but I'm sure there was maybe a bit more emotion in it. It was just,
Well, to be fair, George Lazenby actually filmed it with him crying in that scene, and Peter Hunt, the director, said, Bond doesn't cry, do it again.
Alright, okay. So it's Peter.
Yeah.
Pedro, that's your fault. I think that the song, again, iconic, but both songs are iconic. The most iconic thing of this film and George Lazenby is that pose next to Buckingham Palace.
The lamppost.
Yes.
With Big Ben in the background. It is.
That's honestly the most timeless thing of George Lazenby's.
Yeah, it really
like,
is.
Thing, like, of anything like
that kind of pose, isn't it?
Yeah, when he's there and it's his leg crossed.
Yep.
Everybody does it in that lamppost. That, even though he did a whole film, that one thing is his legacy as James
press
Bond.
shot. Basically.
That's it. That is the iconic thing. Everyone who's in London goes there. Everyone in the lamppost, I think, is still there.
I don't know.
Or been modernised or something. But people always go and do it. That's the most. And if he did multiple films, it'd be kind of a shame because people would still go, oh, it's that. That's the pose. That's the picture. It's nothing to do with the action shots or anything he's doing at all. It's that one thing. That's.
I really like the film. I think it's the best book, and I couldn't put it down, even though it's over 300 pages. And it's basically, as I've said, the exact same. And I think it's really good. It could have been a lot better. It could have been a little bit shorter. It could have been Sean Connery. That's what I mean. It could have been. I think he would have grown into the role if he actually took the 7-picture deal. He would have been by film 3 like full on the best Bond probably, and he would have only been in his 40s when he ended it.
Can he beat Roger?
Yes, you can certainly beat Roger.
You cannot beat Roger.
Roger's the
I can't wait for those episodes.
So I've got some facts that you would actually probably really like.
Hit me with your facts.
Right, did you know that this is Chris Nolan's favourite Bond film?
I'm not surprised. For a filmmaker, I'm not surprised with that. I've also got a fact about Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan is a massive Bond fan.
Yes.
And whenever he makes a lot of action films, he does actually use the term, oh, that's kind of Bondy. I'd like that to be quite James Bond-like.
Well, that kind of goes on to this. It says that the climactic battle in Inception in the third dream in the snow was basically his reinterpretation of On Her Majesty's Secret Service. And there's an early battle in Batman Begins. This is kind of supposed to be the same.
Oh, actually, there's the mountaintop thing where the League of Shadows are based.
Loosely. And in fact, going deeper into Batman, which is Derek's other love in life, is that I've got it written here. Bond's courtship of Tracy, as well as the mountain setting and much of the action, is inspired inspired elements of the first appearance of Ra's al Ghul in the Batman comics. So in his first debut appearance, it's a story called The Daughter of the Demon, where Ra's al Ghul hires Batman to find his daughter who's been kidnapped.
Talia.
And it's all a plot to get to see if Batman was worthy enough to marry his daughter, exactly like Draco and Tracy.
Yeah.
So that film directly inspired that character and that story of Batman.
I have a quick question for you. Nothing to do with what you just said, but I like those facts. At the end of the movie, Draco and M are talking.
Yes.
And they mention November 64, the bullion job. 3 of Draco's operators were taken out by M, or an M operation. Was that Goldfinger?
Oh, that's a good... I don't know, actually.
He said, anyway, it's good to meet a adversary or someone who's involved with that. And he goes, I lost 3 of my operators. And then he goes, November 64, the bullion job. And they start talking about it. And I was like, is that trying to hint at this is the same James Bond and it's the same world kind of thing again?
Could be, actually. I don't know that.
Do you have any more facts?
That was... I thought you'd have liked that, James.
I did like
that Batman fact.
I think James Bond and Batman are quite similar.
I've got the in Switzerland, which is Peace Gloria is basically set, that they have this annual thing where they set off detonators and explosives in the mountains to control the snow levels for the skiing. And Peter Hunt used these. He wanted to go film them letting off all the bombs to do his avalanche scenes.
Okay.
But when they got there, the avalanches had already happened a few months earlier than planned, so he had no avalanches to film, so they had to use stock footage from previous films and previous documentaries to show the avalanche.
I don't even think you notice.
And I think you do, and if you know that fact and then watch, you see the actual film difference in the sort of grading and stuff and the quality of when it shows you like the mountain snow versus George Lazenby. Would you like to give the third and final question?
Yes, I shall give the third and final question. I think this is actually quite a hard question.
Okay.
And it requires a bit of thought.
It
requires working back the way.
Oh no, I can't do that.
It's been said. Half of the answer is said, but the other half you have to look for.
Okay.
In the film. Do you know the answer to this?
I don't know the question.
Well, you don't know the answer then, do you? Before I ask this question, a few people have actually asked me, do you have like sponsors or stuff? Do you have people sponsoring the podcast? And no, we don't. We don't, because it adds too much time. We're quite strict on our time for the episode. We also don't really want to break up the momentum at this point. Plus, we don't have a lot to pay for at this point. We don't have a lot of expense, so we don't need money and such to come in. So at this point, if we don't have to, we don't want to add sponsorships to then break up the flow of us talking absolute shite to each other.
Oh yes,
but
that it is.
If you would like to sponsor the podcast, not sponsor, support the podcast, probably the best thing. An individual support the podcast. You can buy these t-shirts. You can buy a mug, which is on our store, or you can go to Buy Me a Coffee. I think that's the link. That's the name of the website, Buy Me a Coffee, which we've actually changed our thing to Buy Me a Martini. So if you go on, it says that. Yeah. And you can donate towards it, and that makes us happy. That helps us pay for these episodes. And yeah, be very welcome. So self-promotion over.
Back to question 3.
Question 3. What date and month does Bond meet Draco? Quite a hard question.
I know that one.
You know that one?
Yeah.
Do you actually know it?
Yes.
Yes.
I will tell you after the cameras are done.
You got the date that was said?
I've got both.
The date is said, and then the month is, yes. Okay.
Yes, what was quite good, a nice cinematic thing was it's out of focus until Draco puts on his glasses, and then that goes into focus.
I didn't know that's when he put
the calendar board, which is quite a cool cinematic thing. Another few firsts for a James Bond film is slow motion. So when James Bond gets hit over the head, it goes into a slow motion scene. There's the love montage, which is another cinematic first for James Bond.
There's also the speeding up that was
And there's still some jump cuts and stuff.
There was lots of it was janky fighting at the start.
Yes,
It was all like stop motion.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was when I put the film on and I first seen that, I was like, oh no, what is this?
Here we go again.
And they do it a few times. There's the bit where he's fighting the guy in the hotel room and he grabs his arm.
Mm.
And I think it takes too long, so they just speed up the footage. And again, it's like, and I'm like, why have you done this?
Why would you do that?
But I am interested to see where you're going to put on Her Majesty's Secret Service on this board. Do you want to rate it first and then I'll be the decider? Or no, actually I'll put it, because you did it. But, right, okay.
Now, so, I'll have to say that I really, as a kid, didn't like it. I thought it was long, boring, not very James Bondy. But as an adult, I actually really, really like the film, and upon watching it recently and now having read the book, which is the best book, I think that it ranks very high for me.
Right, well, I'm going to put it where I think it goes at this point. I'm going to see if you agree. And if you agree, then you can show it to the camera. If you want to change it, then you can change it.
Oh, I need to actually think about it. Good, strong position.
I don't think it could go up more than 2, and I don't think it could go down more than 2.
I would... Personally, I might have put it up 1, but I think thinking overall, probably yes, that's correct.
Yes,
I'll stick with it.
Let's show that.
So I'll stick it to my camera.
So for those that are watching, then obviously you can see Jack holding this board up to the camera. For those who are not watching and are listening through your ears, the order we have is Goldfinger, still in first place, and then From Russia With Love, then On Her Majesty's Secret Service, then Thunderball, You Only Live Twice, and Dr. No. I feel quite sorry for Dr. No at this point.
So do I.
I think Dr. No maybe get... No, we've done that episode.
It's set in stone.
I would push it back up above You Only Live Twice, but You Only Live Twice has more iconic bits.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. I think we were a bit... This is very difficult, to be fair.
Hard. It might move. To be honest, they can move anytime.
They'll move as...
We're going to leave it. We need a bigger board. As Red Greg says. So yeah, I think that's I'm quite happy with where that is right now. It might change at some point.
Well, guess what?
Oh no.
I am looking forward to the return of the OG next episode.
Of the hairpiece.
Of the old man.
I was going to say what I thought of this film, but I'll wait till next week.
Of the next film?
Yes, of Diamonds Are Forever. Yes. The podcast will return and Diamonds Are Forever. And we're going to think of a nice way to sign this off. People are at this moment just turning the podcast off.
I know, please don't.
Starting to wrap up. No one's listening anymore. It's just us. They've turned it off already.
We still don't know what to do.
If you've not seen any of the other episodes that we've spoke about, then go and see it. If you're on Spotify, then click follow. If you're on YouTube, then hit subscribe. If you're on Apple, then do whatever Apple get you to do. And please share the podcast with anyone. Tell people. Tell film fans.
Yeah.
We don't just talk about James Bond, we go off in weird tangents which no one really cares about, but they're quite entertaining.
No.
So yeah, if you could share the podcast,
share with your friends, please.
And we will see you next. The next time is Diamonds Are Forever. So please, before we do the next one, go watch Diamonds Are Forever.
Yeah.
Refresh yourself, get yourself prepared for the questions.
Yeah. Prepare yourself for the questions and you can discuss it amongst yourselves with us at the same time.
Yourselves?
I don't know.
Get your schizophrenic friends.
And we will return in the 70s.
Yes. Yes, new decade.
New decade.
Same Bond. Same hairpiece. New cat. Okay. Bye.
Goodbye.